You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called Riduzone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's worked. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to Riduzone.com and try today. You're going to love it. Riduzone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
It's showtime, and you know what I found out today? I'm going to die young. I'm going to die young. We'll get to that story in a minute. Holy crap, am I going to die young. Man, you would not believe the unappealing story I found and read completely about cured and uncured meats, processed, bacon, smoked, cured. I'll get into that later. It's kind of breaking my heart. I almost shed a tear when I read this. Okay, I might have shed 3 or 4. I had to run to the bathroom, take my glasses off, put my contacts in, put some some of the eye drop lubricant stuff in for my contacts. At that point, I cried, but it pissed me off. I'll get to it in a minute. Never mind. We're going to get to it in a minute. First, we're going to talk about whiskey, because this week, St. Patty's Day is coming up. St. Patty's Day. Matt's like, we don't need a reason. We don't need St. Patty's Day to drink. We just drink right now.
You made me sad about meat.
Well, we'll talk about your meat in a minute, okay? Ding. All right. So St. Patty's Day is coming up. I came across a couple of. Oh, and holy moly! I actually shared the video feed to my Facebook page before we started today. I'm still inviting people. Brian Farrington, John Eddie Silva. These are all guys I went to high school with and junior high. Robbie Aguilar, Scott Kerr. Okay. All right, guys. Please watch, listen, invite, share, love it. Tell somebody about it, please. Damon Davis. Damon, come on, man. Show me some love. Somebody? Anybody? Greg Crutchfield? Dang, everybody I'm inviting right here. These are all people from high school or junior high. Anyway, so in the vein of celebrating St. Patrick's Day early, really has nothing to do with St. Patrick's Day. I love bourbon. So I was reading an article on bourbon today, and Jim Beam has been around for a really long time, and they have not come up with a new bourbon, a new line of bourbon, in a long time. Their newest collaboration, which just came out, is called Legend, Legent, Legent, Legend with a T at the end. And what's really cool about this is they took it to the next level. Bourbon is a very American thing, but Jim Beam has actually, so the brand is Jim Beam Suntory. If you don't know, they're sister companies, so to speak. But what's really cool is this new bourbon, which actually comes in at it's $35, comes in at 94 proof. And man, this is a beautiful looking whiskey. The master distiller from Jim Beam, his name is Fred No, and Suntory's master blender, Shinjo Fukuyo, they collaborated on this. And so No handled the distillation, and Fukuyo the finishing and blending, and man, they have come up with a really serious bourbon here. This it's the first serious, I think it's the first time there's been like an East meets West bourbon collaboration in a long time. I mean, a really long time, like 30, 40 years. There have been some attempts, but what they've come up with is really, really good. So if you have the opportunity, I would definitely try and acquire some of this. Something that makes it really special is this is 50% corn, and that it gives it a little bit of a different flavor profile. You know, a lot of them are really high corn. There's like 20 to 25% rye that gives it some heat. But this is a very, very different. It's just a very different whiskey. I hope I can get my hands on some of this. It's actually it's made with 4-year-old straight bourbon. And then it's blended with red wine and sherry oak cask finished whiskeys. before bottling. So it represents the first for both Jim Beam and Suntory, a mainline, reasonably priced blended bourbon that's made with various cask finishes. I'm really excited about that. I can't wait to try it. You know, having lived in Japan for a long time, I was astonished at the quality of their whiskeys. Japanese love blended Scotch style whiskeys, and the quality of the quality of product in Japan is unbelievable. And you can get a lot of those in the United States now, but just be aware they are a bit pricey, or at least they can be. So anyway, I get to the end of this wonderful article. I'm thinking, I like Japan. I'll love me some Jim Beam Suntory collaborated whiskey called Legend. I think I will. I got to try it. So then I keep reading on, and you know what? The next article says some of America's best bourbon whiskey is coming out of Texas. Now, this was a shocker for a couple of reasons. Yeah, Matt's back there. Give me the fist pump. The reason is that I believe that the first legal distillery was established. I think that the first license was given in 2006 in the state of Texas. 2006. That's not even 15 years ago, right? 13, maybe 14 if we're pushing it. So within the last 14 years, Texas has become one of the leading states to produce bourbon style whiskey. I couldn't believe it. So they had the Texas Bourbon Shootout in Longview, Texas. And world reviewer and author of the Whiskey Bible, Jim Murray, called several Texas bourbons, quote, among the best whiskeys not just in Texas, but in the world. I think that's pretty cool. So the top three, well, we'll go through the top two and we'll go through a couple more, but it only says 1 and 2. The one that won the challenge, the winner of the Texas Bourbon Shootout was also Texas. It comes from the distillery that was Texas' first legal distillery back in 2006. And it's Garrison Brothers, Balmorhea. And Balmorhea is actually a park way out in East Texas. I mean, if you go I-10 really close to getting to El Paso, Balmorhea Springs is there. And this is a natural fed spring pool that it's several million gallons. It's huge. The only reason I know that is because we took the Boy Scouts there, my son's Boy Scout troop, to the Davis Mountains on a camp out one time. It was actually summer camp. A bit hellish, I have to say. But that was because our troop was too cheap to pay to put tents put up for us. And I instead ended up breaking my back trying to put tents up in this slate-ridden ground of theirs. Anyway, it was a really good camp out. But before we went there, we stopped at Balmorhea Springs, and it's amazing. So that's the area. It's named after that park. That's a state park, Balmorhea State Park. Anyway, it's aged for over 4 years. So this one, the Garrison Brothers Balmorhea, it's aged for over 4 years. First in small 15-gallon barrels, and then in 27-gallon barrels. It's bottled at 115 proof, which for bourbon is pretty hot. It's typically around 90 to 95. That's really hot. So if you're thinking that's 58, almost 57.5% alcohol, that's pretty hot going down. So here's their tasting notes: a deep mahogany color. Its nose is ripe with black cherry and butter. On the tongue, a wave of brown sugar and ginger snaps gives way to toffee, coffee, molasses, and chocolate. The finish lingers with chocolate and a slightly bitter espresso note. Just say it was damn good and it burned going down. What the hell is all this nonsense?
That is whiskey porn.
Dude, I know that was good.
That's whiskey porn.
I'm going to read the next one too, by the way. So I just want to tell you, I thought that wine snobs were bad enough. And I love you, all my wine snobs out there. I love you because I like wine and I like to talk about wine. I don't know as much as I used to because I just don't drink as much wine. But I'm telling you what, I read the tasting notes and I kind of had to laugh. It's a very descriptive, it's very descriptive. That's all I can tell you. That did sound pretty good, didn't it?
It got me hot. Just saying. Now I want whiskey. It's great salesmanship right there.
Cam blushing a little bit. So the number two finisher at the
where is the doggone egg timer?
Oh my gosh, man!
Jeez,
I think I got a dinner bell out there.
I'm telling you, if you start playing music, I'm gonna big spoon you.
Bow wow.
There it is.
You're gonna big spoon me? Oh no! Hey, good thing this has a high back over here. So the number 2 place finisher at the Texas Bourbon Shootout was Balcones Texas Blue Corn Bourbon. This is really cool because Well, Balcones is the actual distiller, and they're actually the second oldest. I want to say that they're the second oldest distillery. They were licensed in 2009, but they use blue corn to distill this. That's their mush. I thought that was really cool. So this one kind of puts the Balmorhea to shame. It's actually bottled at more than 120 proof, over 60% alcohol. That's crazy. Okay, one of the things I read in here, though, is the grained glass ethos has radiated to other Texas distilleries and has their deep, pungent, spicy flavor. The whole grain to glass, farm to table, as my friend Jeff Wetzel, his new show is called Pond to Plate. Pond to Plate, yes. He's look, if you don't know who Jeff Wetzel is, that's Jeff, new word, Wetzel. Love him, hate him, I don't care. He's funny as hell. Just go to Facebook, look him up, and look up actually Pond to Plate. He and his buddy from Laos are out there fishing in the northwest, I guess on the lakes and ponds and streams of northwest Arkansas. And it's funny because they always have some sort of bet. And if Jeff loses, for some reason, the bet is always he has to swim to shore. Okay, you realize in northwest Arkansas it's like 50 degrees right now with 35-degree water. Yeah. It's funny to say. I don't think Jeff has ever won a bet on there either. I could be wrong, but I don't think so. All right, so here are the tasting notes for the Balcones Texas Blue Corn Bourbon. Even darker than the Garrison Brothers bourbon, it has a nose of classic bourbon vanilla and caramel. On the tongue, it explodes with red licorice and red hops, then transitions to dates, dark fruits, and maple syrup, with heavy tannin notes and even a gentle smokiness. What the hell are they talking about? Red licorice and red hops in a bourbon? Actually, that sounds kind of good as long as it doesn't taste that sweet. Then transitions to dates, dark fruits, and maple syrup. I love me some maple syrup. I like dates. With heavy tannin notes and even a gentle smokiness. Now, I know what tannins are when it comes to wine, but I'm not sure what that means in bourbon. Maybe someone out there wants to comment? Anyone? Bueller? I will actually look at the Facebook feed and see if someone can tell me here in a minute. All right, number 3 is Herman Marshall Texas Bourbon. HM Texas Bourbon. This bourbon is a high corn mash. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, here. If you're a Southern gent or a Southern lady who likes bourbon, you're going to like this description. And you'll probably want to try this. This bourbon's high corn mash bill is apparent immediately thanks to its light color and nose full of cornbread. And I'll tell you what, I love me some cornbread, so I got to try this whiskey with some cornbread. Matter of fact, we're going to talk about the difference between Johnny Cakes, cornbread, spoon bread, and pan bread today. I don't know why, but that just occurred to me. All right, second hour. All right, so this distillery, two gentlemen, Herman and Marshall, they met at a Starbucks 14 years ago, and they're based out of Garland, Texas. And they've focused ever since strictly on making a smooth, drinkable bourbon, which even caught Jim Murray's attention. It made his top 4 at the Bourbon Shootout. That's cool. Well, let's give you the tasting notes, because that was actually just the regular old description up there. Tasting notes for Herman Marshall Texas Bourbon Whiskey. Straw colored with a nose full of cornbread. It's sweet and creamy with vanilla, butterscotch, and a touch of coffee. One of the few bourbons Murray called delicate. Dude, I feel like a dirty old version of Mr. Rogers right now.
I think it sounds like you're reading the Penthouse letters. A butterscotch touch with a touch on your tongue of tangy greatness with licorice.
It's sweet and creamy with vanilla.
Sweet and creamy.
And a touch of coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, crap. All right. Save the personal comments for later, please. Well, you can say all you want, Matlock, but anyway.
Well, I'm only partly paying attention, and then I hear you say sweet and creamy and a touch of and I'm like, what the hell is he talking about?
You know what? I kind of just want to read through them all just so I can get some practice, because I'll tell you what, I really need to...
You should charge by the minute.
You remember when I said we should do a Forky moment late at night on Spoony?
Hey, whiskey porn sells, my friend.
Oh, my God. What kind of hole have I dug myself into now that I can't get myself out of? Anyway, Ranger Creek. Oh, it's a 30-ounce 6 single barrel. Nice. Ranger Creek out of San Antonio opened in 2010. The 30-6 Texas Straight Bourbon. I'm gonna assume it's 30-6 because it's 0.36. It's got to be 30-6. The 30-6 Texas Straight Bourbon is its flagship, made with Texas corn and bottled at 96 proof. At least that one's bottled at a normal strength. It had a tough draw at competition. Oh, it was knocked out by Balcones during the blind tasting. But the tasting notes for Ranger Creek 30-6 single barrel bourbon. Heavy tannins on the nose with caramel and butterscotch on the tongue. A long, spicy finish. We're going to stop with that one right now. I think I've gone far enough with the whiskey porn for the day. Yellow Rose Outlaw. Actually, Yellow Rose Distilling has some great bourbons. If you haven't had a chance to try them. And, of course, the Firestone and Robertson TX bourbon. That's a really good one. We actually had that downstairs. I think Tim, the owner of the Country Network, the facilities here, and he's also, I believe, their president and CEO. Anyway, he had some of that downstairs. It was awesome. Iron Root Republic Harbinger, Treaty Oak Ghost Hill. Interesting. Cool stuff. Oh, I got a great recipe for later, but we got to wait till after my Irish slash. He's Irish. I like to call him Irish. I think he thinks he's English. I don't know. I think there's some sort of a personality conflict there. But my lovely sister Karen, her husband Kevin Carey, is going to be calling in at the bottom of the hour, and we're going to discuss food from across the pond. Yep, bangers and mash, all of that good stuff. But I have a great. Oh man. I have a recipe that I think even Matt Locke will like, even though it has maple syrup in it. He might like this anyway, because it's got Jameson and bacon. Yeah, he's looking at me. He likes it. But this is actually, it's going to be a way to it's going to be a kind of a how can you make a typical American breakfast an Irish specialty worthy of celebrating St. Patrick's Day with. You know, what's up all these weird stories that keep popping up in my feed? What was the one about the lady that married somebody sent this to me. Maybe Marie sent this to me. There's this lady married a 200-year-old ghost or something like that, a pirate ghost. And then apparently after being allowed to marry him, now they're breaking up. There's just weird stuff in the internet. People that pay to look like someone else. I mean, I suppose I'd pay to look like Anthony Bourdain as long as I got his paycheck. I suppose. Yeah. Anyway, this breakfast is from the Irish Post. I can't wait to talk about it later. It looks really good. All right. So I don't know if you've seen the news lately, but Subway now apologizes after a video appears to show a North Carolina worker hitting and cursing at a woman. The woman says she's filing charges. Well, I would too if I were she. What happened was this young lady, Tina Richardson. I don't know if she's young or not. I actually haven't seen the video, but she brought a sandwich back. She ordered a sandwich. When she got home, she realized it was not what she ordered. So she went back to the store and she asked for a refund. And apparently, the worker got the manager, who then came out, cursed at her, and threw the sandwich at her head. Sorry, I almost chuckled there. That's not right. She said she doesn't want anybody to be treated like that. And I think. Are people in fast food service so high strung that they can't do anything but yell, scream, curse, hit, and throw stuff at people? I mean, I understand that working in food service is extremely stressful. I mean, I'm not even going to say it may. It is the most stressful job I can think of. And I don't care if you're slinging fries at McDonald's or you're working in a Michelin star restaurant where some chef is throwing a knife at your head because you're not timely with getting the freaking sauce on the halibut. Okay. But lighten the hell up. Remember, I talked about last week. What are we gonna give up for Lent? We're gonna give up complaining, bitching about other people. You know, lighten up, man. Everybody takes themselves so seriously. This person walked back. Now you never know. There are always two sides to every story. But I mean, how wrong could this lady have been? She came and asked for a refund after she got home and found her sandwich was incorrect. I mean, I don't know how rudely that could have gone. I'm sure she could have said some things that might have upset someone. Would just give her money and send her on her way. It's it's disturbing to me. I wonder if that has to do with the fact that there are over 1 million food service and dining establishments in this country. 1 million. We are the largest employing sector of the economy. All right, so I don't know how many people that is. At least that's my belief, and if I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody will tell me, but I think we are. But think about that. And then think about now, there are so many restaurants, one on every corner. I mean, if there's a McDonald's, there's a Burger King. If there's a Burger King, there's a Jack in the Box. If there's a Jack in the Box, it's crazy. They all pop up across the street from one another. And then the number of even, very well-organized establishments that turn into either regional chains or they might be multiple concepts that are run by one company. They face the same challenges. And that is that the labor pool is very, very, very shallow and it's very narrow. This is not the industry where people enter into it as a foray into their first job anymore. A lot of people do, but not as many. I mean, almost everybody I knew in high school, their first job was either at a grocery store or in a restaurant. Pretty much everyone. Oh, congratulations to my son, Damon. Good job, buddy. You survived a weekend of the new restaurant. It's called Howdy Pizza, actually, down in Colorado, in Colorado Springs, in College Station, and they have what's called Texas-style pizza. I'm really looking forward to getting the owner on and talk to him about how they came up with this idea and how it's going so far. They just opened up Friday night. I know they had a soft opening last week and went all guns blazing on Friday, and Saturday closed on Sunday. I'm anxious to hear how things went. So, Damon, I'll be giving you a call later. You know what? I know you're in class right now. Just bummer. You could have called in. Could have gotten your 2 minutes. Well, I'd say your 2 minutes of fame, but I'm not sure talking to your dad on the radio is really any kind of famous moment. Yeah, Matt shaking his head. It's more like a discouraging embarrassment. But anyway, love you, Damon. Good job. You made it through the weekend. This industry's fun. Get out as quick as you can. What else here?
Words to live by.
Words to live by. Oh, here's the story that broke my heart. I almost don't want to read it. So, what was interesting is I read the fake, not the fake, the grabber title for, the one that, what's that called? The title that grabs you and then leads you to the real article?
The tease.
Yeah, whatever you call that.
Well,
person.
It's clickbait.
Yeah, it is.
So what happens is, and I can explain it just real quick, a person writes the article and then the editor puts the headline on it.
Well, so this is from FARC, right? FARK.com. So in FARC, you submit the link to the article, you write the headline, and then they choose whether or not it's worthy.
Oh.
I mean, it's the same thing. Though.
Most of the
Somebody
time,
saw it and they...
Yeah, most of the time the editor is going to write the headline to get clickbait, because that's how you get, every time you click on that article, they get paid.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, dang, I need a piece of this pie because I put a lot of these articles out there. Anyway, so what it was, it's you can have my mortadella when you can pry it from my cold, dead hands. And I'm like, oh, man, somebody's going after deli meats again. So the question is eating deli meat really that bad for you? And so as a chef, I can tell you that nitrites are not good for you. They aren't, especially if you have any sort of heart disease. But what I didn't realize, and it's really breaking my heart, is that all of those uncured, natural, organic meats that are somehow cured using other natural substances, such as whether it be a vegetable powder or a vegetable juice. And one of the big things is actually celery juice. So celery juice is great for, it has very antibacterial properties, but it's full of nitrates, which I didn't know this. Right? So beet juice is another one. There are a couple of other ones out there, but here's the skinny. So these nitrates react with substances in the meats during the curing process, or in your body, they react with microbes in your body during the digestive process, which turn the nitrates into nitrites. So either way, we're screwed. And even, okay, here's another one. Cured with sea salt is even a problem. Cured with sea salt. How can sea salt be a problem? It's like 80% of the Earth's surface. What? I mean, how can you not?
I call Bravo Sierra.
Dude, I don't care. I'm dying young. I'm eating bacon. Even an anti-bacon hating mother like me is going to eat bacon and my mortadella and all my other salumi. I am. I can't help it. And by the way, man, do you have a favorite like cured meat, Matt?
Bacon.
Like, bacon.
Bacon.
Dude, there's something about
the more bacon I can eat, the better.
Something about capicola. Capicola is that it's the one with the kind of spicy red rings through it.
I'm familiar.
That's one of my favorites. That and certain types of salami, especially the ones with the big chunks of fat in it. Oh, those are good. I know. Don't even bother. Don't even bother. Oh my gosh. What have I? Anyway.
Whiskey porn to sausage porn. We're just going to talk meat now.
No, salumi, cured meats. Come on, man. It's all about cured meats. We just call them cured meats. But I didn't know. I mean, I understood that there were nitrates, and that's what allowed these meats to cure without actually curing process. Anyway, breaking my heart. All right, hey, Kevin Carey, my brother-in-law, the one and only, will be up 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Come back, listen, we got lots more. No more whiskey porn, just food porn. We'll talk to you in a minute.
Have you done it?
Are you tired of high cable TV rates? Sign up for Dish today and get a $500 bonus offer while supplies last. Plus, lock in your price for 2 years guaranteed. Call All American Dish, your Dish authorized retailer now.
800-570-6630. 800-570-6630. That's 800-570-6630. Offers require credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-auto pay. Restrictions apply. Call for details.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Have you done it? You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It
now,
really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called RiduZone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's work. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to RiduZone.com and try today. You're going to love it. RiduZone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
Yep, gotta unmute the mic, At least I didn't try talking first. Hello, Spoony listeners, I'm back. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. Oh, man, what was I talking about? Oh, if you missed the first half hour, it was whiskey porn and cured meats, salami, so to speak. Go back and listen. The whiskey was pretty good. Yeah, I really need to try that new Suntory Jim Beam whiskey that came out. Matt, I got a phone call coming in a minute. Don't go away. Love you, brother. All right.
I'm watching.
I know. But everybody tends to go away on my show. It's like, because it's the end of the day. Everyone's like, yeah, we can just chat over here.
I'm with you. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. I got you.
Actually, all I need to do is remember the password. I can answer it myself. But anyway, my brother-in-law is going to be calling in a moment, and we're going to talk about some typically traditional British food. And I have to say, the last 20 years, though, the British Isles have come a long way. There are an awful lot of Michelin stars right now. An awful lot. You know, one of my dreams is to go eat at one of Marco Pierre White's restaurants. I think he's given back all. I always tried to give back his Michelin stars. I don't know if he has. He was the youngest chef in his generation to have 3 Michelin stars at 30. I want to say he was 34 years old. This is a man that at 16 years old showed up in London, no trade skills, $20 in his pocket, and became one of the foremost chefs in the world. As a matter of fact, if you want to know why Gordon Ramsay yells and screams so much, he's a pussycat compared to his mentor, which was Marco Pierre White. Which is interesting, though, because I want to say that Gordon Ramsay doesn't always acknowledge that he was his mentor, but if you go back and look at the film, he was his right-hand man for a long time. Yeah, Marco Pierre White, he's definitely a character. Matter of fact, there's a great saying by him. It's Marco Pierre White in the kitchen. What is that one? I can close that stupid Subway story. Marco Pierre White quotes. Quotes. Yes, you know what? I did not take typing in high school, so I don't want to hear about it. Talking about being in the kitchen. It's he said, if you are not extreme, then people will take shortcuts because they don't fear you. Yep. Oh, I got a caller. Uh-oh. It is the man from across the pond, or at least calling in from upstate New York. Hello, Kevin Carey. Is this you? You there, Kevin? Hello, hello. Ah, there you go.
Hello?
He had to unmute you. No problem. Hello, Kevin. Hello, sister. I hear you laughing in the background.
She's always laughing.
Well, I don't blame her. Men are kind of silly, so, you know, I don't blame her for laughing at us. Kevin, how are you?
I'm fine. It's remarkably warm for once in up in New York State.
Yeah, you know, I was there.
It's in the 40s.
Oh, wow. That is pretty warm for now. I mean, it was really, I want to say it was in the single digits when I was up there, about a month ago? I was fortunate.
Yeah, well, that usually happens when you turn up.
That is pretty much what happens, you know. Yep. Yeah, you know, I can't help it. Either it rains, it snows, or it gets really cold. I am the harbinger of of just a terrible weather. Always have been. But, you know, at least it didn't follow me all the way back out to Texas. So, Kevin, you've been married to my lovely sister for how long now?
150 years. 16 years.
I was catering for a couple one time, older couple, and the sales manager came on site, and they were talking, and I heard her say out of the corner, I was listening and setting up the arrangement, and I heard her say to the husband and the wife, they were like in their 70s, she goes, wow, I can tell you've been married for a long time. And she goes, how long have you been married? He goes, 38 years. And then he quietly said, but it feels like 15 minutes underwater. And I was like, wow, right there in front of the wife and everything. I guess at that point, you don't care what your life expectancy is. If it's over now, I guess you die a happy fellow. But,
right.
So Kevin, you were born in Ireland, right?
Yes.
And then at what age?
But I grew up in Liverpool.
Yeah. Well, how old? You were pretty young when you moved to Liverpool, right?
Yeah, I was just a baby. I mean, I must have had somebody to guide me there because I couldn't have worked my way there on my own. But, I was born during the Second World War. So a lot of kids a lot of families were moved to safer places. So I think that was the reason I was born in Ireland at our relatives in Central Ireland. But my mother was from Liverpool, and my father was obviously Irish. And so she came home. I was born in March, and the end of the war really started about the middle of the summer. Mm-hmm. So she came home about that time. So from then on, I grew up in Liverpool, but I had all my school vacations in Ireland. I always thought my parents were sending me there for my own good. I realized only later that they just were so pleased to get rid of me that was a good excuse. You know?
I understand. That's why I was sent to New York in the summertime. Let my sister take care of me. Let his sister take care of him. It was funny because you were telling the story saying that families moved to safer places. And I was thinking, okay, you moved from Ireland to Liverpool. That's not safer because I remember the Irish used to turn on all the lights so that because they would have blackouts in London, but so that the German pilots could navigate, they would actually turn on all the lights like in Dublin or wherever, Belfast probably, but they would turn the lights on and then the German pilots would navigate just by time and airspeed, in direction to find London and then bomb the city. So you went the other way, of course, now that I realized after listening to the story. Right. But so you know what? We hear about all of these traditional English cuisine, these food stuffs, tea sandwiches and bubble and squeak and fish and chips and, of course, roast meats. Who doesn't like roast meats? Bangers and mash. By the way, bangers are my favorite sausage. They really are. They're really good, especially when you boil them first and then grill or saute them afterwards. But what were some of the things that you grew up on? I mean, what were the things as a child you remember?
Well, the first thing I should do is anybody who comes from Liverpool is called a Scouser.
And what does that mean?
The reason it's called a Scout, well, in the 1800s, lots of Irish immigrants came to England, to Liverpool as a port to dig all the canals. And so they were cheap labor. And they were very poor, even with working in England. And they could not afford meat. So they made a stew without meat, which was basically a vegetable stew. And so that was called scouse. And really that reflects the large Irish population in Liverpool. I mean, you know, a lot of people say Liverpool is the second capital of Ireland. Because, you know, I mean, there's so many there. So that was the dish that I don't think we ever had that very often at home. You couldn't have meat. The Irish immigrants couldn't afford meat. They could steal some of the English children in the neighborhood, but it'd probably go down really badly. So they just had vegetables.
Not many dogs in the neighborhood. Not many dogs or cats in the neighborhood, huh?
No. It was wonderful how he cleared up any wildlife that was not nailed down. But you know, after, you know, I was 5 in 1950, so we were still coming out of food rationing. And in 1950, England discovered sugar, and so everything had sugar in it. So my passion was not the meal. My passion was the dessert, if you could get to that.
Yeah.
And that continues to this day, unfortunately. But, you know, most of the meals were, my mother had a wonderful invention in the 50s called a pressure cooker. Now, I know you can tell me that the modern pressure cooker is significantly better, but it turned all the food to paste and everything tasted the same, which, you know, again, is the British government created an award for chefs in England. It's called the Reflux Award. And the person who gets the biggest burn, you know, we're not really good at cooking. We're good at boiling things. And if you look at the British Navy, all they had was salt beef and it was boiled. And I've not been to many good restaurants where they boil the meat. Maybe to boil it before they do something else to it. So, you know, the food I had growing up was, you know, you ate it because you were forced to. You know, remember the Pink Floyd line, if you don't eat your meat, how can you have any pudding?
Yes, I
and
do
that was, you know, that was what I grew up with. We just wanted to get to pudding. The cheapest pudding that I remember was rice pudding. And I used to compete with my dad and used to lose out all the time because he wanted a skin that was browned on the top. So I was just lucky to get anything that was left over. So, you know, I mean, dessert was the big thing. My mother was a good baker. You know, the meals themselves, potatoes and cabbage and all the other things she put in there, it all came out tasting aluminum. You know, they tasted of something metallic about them. But the desserts were great. And as a kid, you know, we still had the vestiges of Victory Gardens. During the war, everyone was encouraged to have a small garden to grow vegetables. And when I was a kid growing up, most people still had that. So we grow a lot of our own vegetables. So one of the popular pies my mother made was rhubarb pie.
Oh, yes.
Which was fantastic. I mean, it was a little bit tart, but then again, we got all that sugar. So the crust was a solid glaze of sugar. You almost break your teeth on it, but you know, that was wonderful. But my joy in life was, I was a latchkey kid. You know, my parents both had jobs, and like everybody after the war, they were struggling to make ends meet, and they were working hard as they could. So I used to feed myself, which was a disaster. But my favorite thing was to go to my grandmother. My grandmother lived in the old part of Liverpool near the docks, and my grandfather was worked on the docks as a laborer. and they would actually let me go to the chip shop, which was it was an interesting chip shop in this part of town because it was run by a Chinese couple, but they made the best fish and chips.
Huh.
So my grandfather would always give me money to go and get lunch. And my favorite was fish toast, which was bread dipped in batter and then put in the fryer, and then fish put with batter put on top of it, and then both put in the fryer together. And so you get what was literally a fish sandwich. And of course it was, thick with batter. It was delicious.
Oh,
so that was my treat. And, I could get mushy peas. I mean, that's a wonderful
what are mushy
Americans
peas? What are mushy peas?
Well, mushy peas are peas that somewhere between the consistency of a solid and soup. And in England, we like paste. We like fish paste and meat paste. And so anything that resembles paste is considered, a food advantage. So, you get mushy peas and chips. The great advantage of these things is you could eat them out of the paper. You didn't have to sit at a table with a knife and fork. You could just walk down the street. I remember I went back to England in 1995 to an exhibition where I was speaking, and I was staying at a very nice hotel in Birmingham, and the cost of the hotel was, let's say, £100, and we went out for a very nice meal, which cost, there was 6 or 7 of us with wine. It was about £500 or £600. It was quite expensive, but when you're entertaining customers. But the next night I had a night off, so I instead of going to a fancy restaurant, I went to the chip shop, and there was a chip shop near where the exhibition hall was, and outside the chip shop was a bus station, bus terminal, and so I got fish and chips, and it was pouring with rain. And I sat in the bus terminal, and it was the best meal I've ever had. It didn't need a lot of money. It was just a wonderful. And of course, my summers in Ireland was primarily vegetable. My grandfather killed cattle for a living, so he would get paid not in cash, but he'd get paid in meat. So we'd have just this wonderful bonanza of meat occasionally. And then we go back to cabbage and potatoes and, anything that they could find, rabbits or whatever they could catch.
Yeah.
So my food when I was growing up was just nothing really. I don't look back on it and say, wow, I miss that. The only thing I miss is my mom's cooking, the apple pies and the rhubarb pies.
Well, that makes sense.
The rest was...
I don't think
very forgettable.
I don't think you're the only one. What's interesting though is, so in England, especially now, the last 40 or 50 years, a lot of different foods from other countries have become what we know as typically English, right? So of course you have all the Yorkshire pudding and roast beef and all that, but like chicken tikka masala, like Indian food. Some of the best Indian restaurants in the world are in London. And, there's a place called Mr. Chow, right? It's a Chinese restaurant. I believe it started in London. I could be wrong. So this may be, other than Johnny Walker Blue, the best, and don't get me wrong, Mr. Chow is phenomenal, but this may be the biggest or second biggest marketing, ploy to be successful ever. And so Mr. Chow was a fine dining Chinese restaurant, where they would do say abalone fried rice for $70 for 4, but the food was excellent. But I'm telling you what, some of the best Chinese restaurants in the world are actually in London or in England. And I think that's become over the years, like when I think of Indian food, some of the best Indian food I've had was actually in the UK. I mean, it's just, it's simple. It's more authentic. It's, here I think it's dressed up for Americans a little bit. And I think it loses some of its authenticity. But I need you to clarify one thing for me. When English say pudding, right? Define what that means, because I see there's a lot of different things that mean pudding in England. You have Yorkshire pudding, which is more like a bread. It's a popover, right? But then you have like pudding in a can, like Spotted Dick. Yeah, I mean, but putting in a can, like spotted dick is not a pudding at all. It's a bread that's boiled, and then it's a cake. It's almost a cake, not a bread. So what is that? What is pudding? I mean, sometimes it seems like it's bread. Sometimes it seems like it's cake.
Right. The first thing is there's no G on the end of it. It's pudding.
Pudding. Sorry, pudding.
Right.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks for the correction, pudding.
I always assumed pudding was anything you had to eat with a spoon.
Ah.
So it's something you can't pick up. And when we first came to America, it was in the late 70s. We went to a local restaurant. It was a chain of restaurants still around called Friendly's.
I remember Friendly's.
And everybody was staring at us. And we thought, do they know we're English? And so we asked the manageress of the restaurant, why were people so excited? She said she'd never seen anybody eat a hamburger with a knife and fork before.
I know it had something to do with knife and fork.
Well, because we don't pick our food up. Or you never used to, and probably do now in England.
But I mean, England is not the only place like that. I remember being in Germany the first time I ordered pizza at an Italian place, this Neapolitan pizza place. They bring it out, and it's an individual pizza for each person. I had a pizza margarita, and they bring it out, and of course everyone. I get ready, I cut mine into quarters to pick it up, and I see everyone eating with a knife and a fork. I'm like, manners. Okay, I think I'll put mine back down now. Take the bib, untuck the napkin from my shirt. So. Yeah, I mean, there's this series of interesting desserts. There really are. I have a book that's called Puddings, Custards, and something else. It's all about British desserts.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, though.
Custard was my favorite.
I'll tell you what. Sticky toffee pudding.
Right.
I don't think there's anything better than that. I really don't. That's like. I mean, for me, and clotted cream, which for me is just kind of like. Almost like butter, right? Sticky toffee pudding with the clotted cream, a little bit of clotted cream and a big warm, spoonful of the sticky toffee pudding. Right. That's quite possibly the best bite of food I've ever had. And I don't typically eat dessert when I go out. Maybe 1 in 10 times. It's not my favorite course, but oh my goodness, that put me over the top. Yeah,
it's I mean, in England, custard pie was another one my mother made, which is just a pie with custard in it. Was just the cinnamon on top of that. It was just amazing.
That sounds kind of like buttermilk pie here. We make a buttermilk pie here that's kind of like that.
Yeah, I think in Buffalo they have places that do custard. They're just small shops that specialize in that sort of thing. But in England it was primarily dessert that really, stoked us. I mean, everywhere I've gone when I've traveled around the world, I'm always interested in desserts, and that's the only export that I've seen. I mean, of course, I grew up and I thought rice pudding was British. I didn't realize the influence of all the Chinese that lived in Liverpool and all the other people, the Asians that came into the country. So, I mean, a lot of the food in England is cross-pollination, but whenever I was working in England, when I went back there to work, and we took customers out, it was always to an Italian restaurant or a French restaurant or a Bulgarian restaurant. It was never there was no such thing as an English restaurant because there's really no English menu. When you go to England, what you're looking for: boiled meat, spam. There's nothing. I mean, there are some things that are roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. But, even that it's very difficult to get that made quite well. So there are not many English restaurants that specialize in English cuisine, or there never used to be.
Yeah,
everything was cross.
I think it changed a little bit, with Gordon Ramsay and Jamie Oliver and some of these celebrity chefs. Yeah. They've changed that a little bit. They've started to highlight the regional cuisines. Yeah. I mean, and especially the coastal foods. Some of the wonderful seafood that comes off the coast of the UK has really been highlighted. And I know that Ireland about 15 years ago had this huge culinary renaissance. Of a period, and it's become, because I think Dublin for a long time was rated the worst or one of the worst food towns, cities in the world, and now it's among the top 20. Yeah, but so So do you remember how, my sister's sitting there next to you. I'm sure she's listening in. We had a few unique Christmas items that we would have on our family menu. My mother,
really?
yeah, my mother's sister would make these pickled watermelon rinds. She would take the white part of the watermelon rind and she would make Christmas pickles. They were brilliant. They like emerald green and ruby red.
Wow.
And they were just plain sweet pickles, but made from the watermelon rind. And then we would have mincemeat pie. Yeah. Except she would not do real mincemeat. It was raisins, right? It was ground up raisins and seasoning, and it almost tasted, to be honest with you, like there's a pineapple. I can. Oh my God, I can still taste it. I have not eaten that in 40 years, and I can still taste that pie.
You gotta make it.
I'm not sure I liked it, but I ate it because my aunt. Okay, so my Aunt Bertha was She may have spoiled the men in the family, my brother and I. Like, she would spread, when she made you toast, she would spread the butter all the way to the edge of the toast. That to me was a big deal.
Cool.
My mom just put the pat in the middle and said, here, spread it. She really,
Okay.
But I think because of that, anything she put on the table, I would have eaten. And they ran a huge farm in Vermont. They had a lot of hay fields, and they had these workers that had probably 10 workers that lived on property at any given time. Wow. But we ate very hearty there, and we oftentimes spent the Christmas season up there. It was about a 3-hour drive, I guess, to Rutland, where they lived. Anyway, or Pittsford, I think, is actually where they lived in Vermont. But that mincemeat pie was something. I'll bet Karen's back there shaking her head, saying, "There's no way I was never going to eat that."
She's on another line.
Is she on a call?
It reminds me, though. Yeah, it reminds me of one of the Christmas treats was this black, heavy molasses pudding. And we used to put brandy on it, set fire to it. I'm not sure that was a cooking process, but people joke about it in England. It's like getting fruitcake. That proverbial fruitcake that everybody sends to everybody else. You get it at Christmas and you still get it next year. You pass it on to somebody else.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to love that.
So, I knock fruitcake all the time. But my mother used to make fruitcake. The thing I didn't like about fruitcake, it wasn't the fruitcake itself. I actually liked fruitcake, and ours was heavily liquored up, so it was pretty good. But what I didn't like is certain of the candied fruits that were in there, and the fact that they had these really weird artificial colors, like that ruby red and the garnet or whatever the green colors that you get from emeralds. That really just didn't look like real food to me. However, I ate probably my weight as a child in fruitcake, my current weight while I was a child in fruitcake. And my mother, which you obviously met my mother before she... you did not meet my mother, did you?
No, she died a year before I met Karen.
That's right. But yeah, she was she loved Christmas more than anything in the world. She really did. And she made all sorts of special food for Christmas. We used to make popcorn balls, and it was just really fun. She made it a fun time of year. And as weird as some of the food got, it was good. Now, how about things like blood pudding and things like that? I mean, I've had blood sausage, and none of that bothers me. Head cheese is fine. Growing up in upstate New York with a lot of hunters in the family, we always had leftover meat that had to be forced into some sort of casing or gelatin and eaten. Was there anything from your childhood you absolutely hated and detested?
There was I don't even know what it's made from, but there's a concoction called tripe, and I think it's from the guts of animals. Mm-hmm. And it looks like a slimy jelly, a white. Is anybody from Liverpool listening? They can maybe call in and talk about it. But I thought it was the most disgusting. I mean, just looking at it, you start to heave, So my grandmother loved it, and I had to get through that. I had to eat some of it to get to the damn dessert. So the temptation is cruel. So the experience was uniformly unpleasant.
So
literally, it was hard to swallow. I mean, it was.
So,
and that's in Lancashire, that side of the world.
Gotcha.
And then haggis.
Haggis
when I was up in Scotland when I was working there, and that wasn't too bad. I mean, it was. I was with a group of people who were drinking scotch as well, so the two go together. Like, you talk about superb bouts of indigestion, drinking bells and eating haggis at the same time.
Yeah,
your whole body on.
Haggis is an acquired taste, but I'll tell you, I have had tripe two ways that I like it. One is in some menudo. I don't know if you know what menudo is. It's a a Latin stew. It has corn. It has so the what do you call it? Hominy corn. It's very spicy typically. Right. It's got a little bit of an earthy aroma to it because tripe can be it can smell a bit earthy because it's part of the intestine of the it's part of the rumen of the animal. So, but the other way is
funny because it took guts to eat it.
But the Japanese actually clean it really, really, really well. And then when they do their like teppanyaki, so when you eat at home and you have a little heated griddle and you sear things on there, meats and tripe and vegetables, and then you dip them in dipping sauces and eat them. They eat a lot of that, and I don't know if the way they cleaned it made it so it didn't have the aroma, and you had no idea what you were eating. It tasted great because you didn't have to think about it. But so hey, we got about a minute left, but I know you, Karen, and I are going to start working on a series for entrepreneurship, which is the whole reason I wanted to bring you on today. But since we're not done with our curriculum, so to speak, going forward, I thought we'd just talk about some food from your youth. And I'm going to post a recipe that I'm going to talk about right now after the break. It's Jameson whiskey bacon maple syrup pancakes as a twist on a traditional pancake breakfast here in the United States. Man, this actually sounds pretty good. Anyway, Kevin, you got about 10 seconds. Any big stuff going on this week, or are you just trying to survive, enjoy the warm weather out there in New York?
Your sister is leaving me. She's flying to Arizona.
Oh, she's going to see my other sister.
Your sister.
Awesome.
Yeah. Are
they doing this little celebration after my sister's miraculous healing?
Well, the great thing about it is in this week, I will not be eating anything that my wife prepares for me. It's going to be...
All right. Hey, Kevin, love you. Take care. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Kevin. All right, that was Kevin Carey. All right, Food Biz Pro, we're going to talk about some wonderful pancakes and some other wonderful food leading up to the one and only St. Patrick's Day. Stay tuned. We'll be back in 4 minutes. Ciao for now.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. Congressional reaction to the president's budget has been predictably cool.
The top Democratic appropriator in the House, New York's Nita Lowey, calling it untethered from reality, with no chance passing. Majority Leader Steny Hoyer says the demand for nearly $9 billion for the border wall threatens another government shutdown. Meanwhile, the top Republican on the Budget Committee, Steve Womack, calls it a step in the right direction, but he'd like to see cuts in mandatory spending, which he and other fiscal conservatives blame for the skyrocketing deficit.
Capitol Hill correspondent Wally Hines reporting. The black box to the crashed Ethiopian jetliner has been found, but it is apparently damaged. Alan Deal, a former NTSB investigator and aviation psychologist, says until more is known about the crash of that Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft, he would try to avoid flying aboard one.
Until we get this information from the Egypt air crash, I would be a little nervous as a safety expert of flying on the MAX at this point in time.
Some airlines that have the MAX 8 jets in their fleet are grounding them until more information is forthcoming. Also on townhall.com, correspondent Mike Hippen reports consumers pulled back on spending over the holidays, contributing to a January increase in retail sales of just 0.2%.
Auto sales in January plunged by the most in 5 years, while furniture and electronic store sales also declined, as did gas station and clothing store sales. However, sales at home and garden stores rose by the most in nearly a year and a half, while sporting goods, hobby, and bookstores reported their biggest sales increase in 6 years.
Economists believe growth could fall below a 1% annual rate in the first 3 months of this year. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 149 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If your family Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us. Our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com. Use promo code MATT, M-A-T-T. and get 15% off your purchase.
Never Forgotten Apparel is more than just a premium women's and men's clothing line. It's a movement to remind us to wear American-made and serve those who serve us, our heroes. Never Forgotten Apparel gives 20% of their total sales to nonprofits that support homeless veterans and off-duty firefighters, and 50% to individual veterans and firefighters in need nationwide. Check out neverforgottenapparel.com, use promo code DOC, and get 15% off your purchase. That's neverforgottenapparel.com.
Have you done it? You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It
Now,
really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called RiduZone, RIDUZone.com, RIDUZone.com. It's Brad's work. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to RiduZone.com and try today. You're going to love it. RiduZone.com. Remember that, RIDUZone.com.
Oh, I'm going to die an early death. I'm going to die an early death because apparently you can't eat even naturally cured meats anymore. Uncured meats, smoked, it doesn't matter. It's all going to kill you. So, you know what? Pick your poison, dine, enjoy, count your days. Man, breaking my heart. I can no longer eat uncured bacon because it's really just cured with something that turns into nitrates later. Bummer. Oh, well. So, if you listen to the last hour, we talked about the, last half an hour, I spoke to my brother-in-law, Kevin Carey, about the wonders that are the foods of the British Isles. His recollection of a somewhat unremarkable food youth were interesting, actually. So we talked about, the fish bread that he spoke about, where they basically batter a piece of toast, fry it, batter the fish, fry it, put them both together and batter them one more time and fry them. It kind of reminds me of shrimp toast. And I don't know if you've ever had shrimp toast before, but it's basically a piece of, it's not toast, a piece of bread kind of like baguette size, a slice of bread, maybe 3/4 of an inch thick. And then you make this paste. The paste is chopped up shrimp, kind of garlic, ginger, some other flavorings in there. It can be really whatever it wants, but shrimp toast, oh my goodness. So you take this paste, you add an egg to it to kind of emulsify it. You could add maybe some soy sauce in there if you wanted to, whatever your seasoning of choices. And you spread this paste on the toast, and it sticks very well. And then you take that whole thing and you throw it in the deep fryer and you fry the whole thing. And oh my, if you have not had shrimp toast before, you are missing one of my all-time favorite bites of food. It's not, you don't find it around very much anymore. As a matter of fact, the last restaurant I saw it served was at Rickshaw Bamboo. I was the corporate chef for Miyako Group. They had the Miyako restaurants, Little Miyako's, and then Rickshaw Bamboo, which was more of an Asian fusion, less straight Japanese food. And we had it on the menu there. Yep. Matter of fact, Joseph, man, I got to find Joseph. Joseph was my chef there. He was a kitchen manager, but basically the executive chef. Joseph, I'm not going to say your last name, but Joseph, probably he and Chris Namoto. Chris Namoto was the sushi chef there. And Joseph ran the kitchen. Probably two of the most underrated chefs I've ever worked with. Unbelievable. Chris was the consummate professional. Just always polite, always in a good mood. He's one of the most positive people I've ever met. And Joseph, which he and I actually did some work at other venues afterwards. You know, I'm kind of a hired gun for a catering company in Houston, and he worked there for several years with me. Joseph, again, one of the consummate professionals in this industry. What a nice guy. Man, I would love to have Joseph call into this show. I gotta make a note. Gotta make a note. Text Joseph. Because, man, he made these boats out of like these reed. They look like reed boats. There were boats made out of bamboo, like the sheets of bamboo. That's what they're made of. And then he would tie each end, and we did the snapper dish. The snapper was sautéed, and then there was a sauce, this creamy sauce that went with it, and it was put into that boat. It's one of the most unique dishes I've ever seen. It was based on a traditional Filipino dish. Joseph was from the Philippines, but man, we had some great food there. Man, now I think about traditional foods, lau lau. You ever heard of lau lau? Anybody out there? Lau lau is I want to say it comes from Hawaii, but it could be it might be another Polynesian of Polynesian origin. But lau lau is basically you take banana leaf, or you can use bamboo leaves if they're big enough, or tea leaves work quite well actually. The tea plant, T-I, not T-E-A. But what you do is you take a cut of snapper. See, I'm squirming in the chair because I'm getting hungry. Got to learn to eat before I come in. A few bugles. Don't cut it before you sit down in this chair. But it's you lay out your leaves and you put this cut of snapper on there, and then you season with salt and pepper and maybe some bacon. Sometimes it's actually pulled pork. The what is it? Like the Kahlua pork from a luau, and I think that's traditionally what it is. And then a little bit of coconut milk, and then you wrap that up and you steam it. And oh my, that is a dish that is to die for. So snapper, especially those deep water crimson snapper and things like that off the coast of Hawaii. I mean, they're really deep water fish, and they're really lean. You'd think that this fish that lives in such cold water would be fatty, but they're not. They're really lean, and they're a very delicate, clean flavor. And so when you put this little bit of richness of the pork, well, bunch of richness with the pork. We would use bacon a lot of times instead of the Kahlua pork, then a little bit of the coconut milk, and just enough salt and pepper to make it all kind of all those flavors meld, and so you get enough of a distinction between the flavors to really enjoy them. I'm telling you, man, it was one of my favorite dishes. And then, man, now all these things are coming to my mind that are done in banana leaves or other leaves that are steamed or roasted. There's one from the Philippines, and someone's going to correct me here in a second. I'm going to look it up. All right. There's a rice dish, right? There's a rice dish. They make it with red rice and banana leaf from Philippines. This is it's Filipino sticky. So it's no, it's not Filipino sticky life. Blah blah blah. That's not it. Not babinka. Anyway, oh my gosh, they basically take this rice, and a lot of times it's pork or chicken, and then they mix it. They mix it with rice, this kind of sticky rice, and then they wrap it in banana leaf and they steam it, and it is unbelievable. So it's like this little parcel, right? It's this magical parcel of sticky rice. If you ever had sticky rice before, this is not Japanese rice, by the way. Japanese rice is not sticky rice. Japanese rice is medium short grain rice, right? Sticky rice is more from Thailand. They have it's typically used as well, not always. It can be used in savory preparations, but sticky rice and mango with coconut milk is a very traditional, like northern Thai, Laotian type of. Actually, is Laos up in that area, or is that yeah, okay. So, but what they do is on the sweet side, like in Thailand, they steam the rice, and the way that you steam the rice is actually in a conical strainer. It's called a China cap. Yes, I know it's called a China cap. It's probably inappropriately used, but a chinois, which is different. China cap. This is one that's just aluminum. It's got 1/8 inch perforations, and it's just a simple cone with a long handle on it. But you fill that you actually line that with a like a linen napkin that's been washed several times to get all the starch out of it. You line that, and then you rinse the rice several times, and then you fill that with the rice about 8 inches deep, and then you stick it over a like a doubler boiler. So you take a bain marie, which is a cylindrical. It can be. It's a cylindrical pan full of water, and then you put that over the burner, and then you insert the conical strainer, you put a lid on it, kind of a loose lid, and then you steam it. And it takes forever, but it's worth it. So now you have this sticky cooked rice. Then you take mango slices and maybe we used to use actually a reduction of coconut milk. Well, it wasn't a reduction. I thickened it basically and sweetened it a little bit. But it's unbelievable. The pairing of that sticky rice with the mango, with the richness of the coconut, is a classic pairing in that region. So, but when you go to the savory side, oh, it's even better. This rice is really it's really sticky, right? The starch, and it's not. By the way, rice is not glutinous. There's no such thing as glutinous rice. There is no gluten in rice. It's starch. It's just really starchy. So when you cook it, it actually kind of you can press it into a shape in your hand, right? It's almost like bread from that region, and they don't eat. I mean, they do eat some potatoes in that region, but mostly they eat rice. Thinking the only time you ever see potatoes, as far as I can think of, like in Thai food, would be in a curry, possibly, but then even not too often. But anyway, so this rice, so you take this savory chicken and or pork and these other seasonings, you mold them into these packets, you put them in oh my God, you put them in this banana leaf, and then you steam them, and when they come out, it's just unbelievable. I can't even. Now I'm really hungry. All right. If you've never had it, it's pretty incredible. They also do sweet ones too. They do them with in the Philippines. They do ones with like banana and things like that. Banana desserts. I have a really easy one. If you've this works well with the little mini bananas. They're little yellow, short, ripe bananas you can buy. They're red ones, or you can just take a regular banana. But there's a wrapper called they're Menlo wrappers, right? They're not what do you call them? Dumpling wrappers. They're not dumpling wrappers. Those are made of a regular dough. Menlo wrappers, actually, if you find them at the or lumpia wrappers is another name for them. If you find them at the grocery store, they're going to be, it's a very solid, it's like a little solid, they're really light. It's a solid brick. It'll have like 25 sheets in it. And they're probably 5 inches by 5 inches or 6 inches by 6 inches. And when you get them, it's really hard to peel them apart. They're almost like crepe, super paper thin crepe-like wrappers. And what you do when they're still in the package and before you open it, you kind of work that back and forth, like bend it forward and backward and then side to side to loosen those the sheets, those individual pieces in there. And then once you cut it open, you can separate them. Then what you do is you take like a quarter of a banana. So you cut the banana in half lengthwise, or so you have two. You cut it in half lengthwise, and then you cut it down the middle of those two pieces. So now you have 4 long, thin pieces of banana. You take one of those, you put it inside of the wrapper, and then you can drop like a few pieces of chocolate bar or some chocolate chips, whatever kind of chocolate you want in there, and then you wrap that up. You wrap it up like a burrito, and then you seal it with some egg wash, and then you deep fry those. And when they come out, it doesn't take long to cook through. When you come out, you cut them on a bias at an angle, and then you can kind of arrange them on a plate with some vanilla ice cream. Absolutely to die for. Super simple, and it costs virtually nothing. Bananas, wrappers, 1 egg, and whatever ice cream you have. Or you don't have to have ice cream. It's really good all by itself. Anyway, I don't know how I got on the topic of bananas. I don't know. I'm so hungry for anything wrapped in. Well, all right, for a savory dish wrapped in a banana leaf. Before somebody sends me in something rude. All right, so I talked about this Jameson whiskey bacon maple syrup pancakes. Let me say that one more time slowly. Jameson whiskey, bacon, maple syrup pancakes. That sounds really good. I'm going to post the recipe here in a minute. But basically, I was looking for Irish takes or how to make something that's a traditional American breakfast food with some sort of Irish flair. And since this weekend, what is coming up but St. Patty's Day, I figured this might be a good one. Yeah, Matt Locke's all ready for it. Mac, I got your Jameson right here for you. It's waiting. And now we got another one over there too. This is the IPA cask edition. What's that one over there? Is the
I don't know, but I forgot that it was St. Patty's Day this weekend.
I know.
I forgot.
What the hell, dude?
I'm not even Irish, but I love St. Patrick's Day.
Why? Because it's a free pass to get your drink on, or just it's fun?
It's fun, but Yeah, 1 and 2. Ding, ding. Who doesn't? Come on. I'm not Irish, but who doesn't like celebrating?
Everybody's Irish on St. Patrick's Day.
And like everybody's fun. You ever notice that when you go out for St. Patrick's Day, everybody's in a good mood. It's lively. It's celebratory. The atmosphere.
And no one says, "Hey, you're not Irish. You can't celebrate." No one says that. They're like, "Have a drink. You're Irish."
Yes. Have some green beer.
Yeah, I can't do the green beer anymore.
It's just food coloring.
I know.
Come on.
I can taste that stuff though.
Well, see, you and I are Midwesterners.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking. Kind of, but you were talking about how Chicago.
I'm a northerner from up above the Manson-Nixon line.
But Irish, more north, are more festive. Down here in Texas, I'm interested to see what St. Patty's Day looks like. Well, because like you said, in Chicago.
I am curious.
They color the river in Chicago green. They do that in Fort Wayne. In Fort Wayne, the Maumee River goes green. It's just they celebrate, and they have all kinds of celebrations up there. So I'm really interested for scientific purposes. Wink, wink. What St. Patty's looks like down here.
I wonder how many little leprechauns they have to squeeze the juice out of to turn the river green.
That's a really bad image in my mind because I drink Dos Equis and I buy the lime juice by the green bottle. That's what I'm thinking about right now.
Actually, you know what? That's a good. You ever have the lime salt?
No.
Oh, you gotta they have it at almost any liquor store. They have it right at the counter, and a lot of these smaller like 7-Eleven might, because this is depending on what ethnic area of town you're in, if it's predominantly Hispanic, then you'll find it. They have this little lime salt shakers right there. It's good. It's really good.
That does sound good.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't suck. And you put it in, because you've had like Dos Equis or Tecate's one that they shake salt in, lime, salt.
So when I
Tabasco,
get my Dos Equis, I don't do the salt.
I don't usually.
I just
either.
do the lime.
Yeah, I like lots of lime.
Now when I'm drinking a Bloody Mary, I like when they salt the rim.
Do you?
Yes.
Now, do you do no, I guess you don't. I was going to say you don't do margaritas because they're typically a little sweeter.
I don't like margaritas at all. If I'm going to drink tequila, I'm doing shots. Or I see there's another bottle of the #1 tequila that showed up next door.
Oh,
Blanco, by the way, the high-end bottle. I don't know where that came from.
I think I know because he had
Harold.
Yes, the same man that brought this one and not those two.
What is wrong with this? I love this dude, by the way, Raider.
Yeah, Raider on Twitter. He's been really good to us. I don't know if he just feels especially sorry for us since
Ron
Don's
says
passing.
the new bottle of Blanco showed up because on Friday.
Yeah, he came by Friday after. Well, you were here, right?
I was here. Yeah.
After
because you had to run because you had to travel.
I love it when he was looking for me.
You know what? Actually, Ron, we should have hidden that because I didn't get any of the last bottles. I got one sip on the air one time of the bottles we had before.
Oh no, they're in there.
They're in there.
All of them?
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, where they? Somebody's been hiding them.
They're on the shelf back there now.
Well, you know what? I don't look. I don't really go in there.
So all I know, I'm going to tell you right now, you and I need to get together and have a drink of that Blanco.
Absolutely.
It is so good. It tastes like bourbon without the rye finish.
I'm telling you, all of them are so good. I mean, I'm telling you,
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they do such a good job. So if you don't know who this is, that's Raimundo. What's Raimundo's last name?
Alex Raimundo.
Oh, Alex Raimundo.
Yeah,
Alex
that's
Raimundo
his last name.
And Ron White, they're partners in this company called #1 Tequila. And if you have not had it, it's pretty freaking phenomenal. It really is. But let's just see. Maybe it might even go with this breakfast. I don't know. See if it'll go with the Irish. Yeah.
Sorry, we're in here arguing about tequila.
No. There is no argument. You know what you do? You try it and you resolve the issue.
All I know, and I'm going to tell you, it's so funny. I got to tell you this story. So, what is Blanco's white, right?
Blanco's the straight. Yeah.
I was wrong. I was thinking it's. See, I'm Spanish deficient.
That's 4 years to bottle, or 3+ years to bottle. There.
I'm Spanish deficient. So I was calling Blanco black instead of next, but it's neither what it is there. But anyway, so here's a funny story. Cowboy Bill Martin.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Is here. And he taped his show. You and I were there.
That was awesome.
The Country Network. It was fantastic, by the way. So I run into Alex Raimundo. Short little dude. I mean, I'm 6'5". Short little dude. Had his hair straightened. He looks at me and he says, "Do you like tequila?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "You will." Right. He's like, "You will when I'm done." I'm like, "Shut up." He's like, "Have you tried the black tequila?" And I said, "No." He says, We age it in bourbon barrels.
Yes,
I'm
they
like,
do.
Now you got my attention. But, I felt bad, Patrick, because he was getting ready for the show, and he was in that zone, and I'm arguing with him. And you know me, I'm a pain in the rear end.
Nah.
But I wish you
had an opinion about something.
I could tell that he was in that zone. So I left him alone. But after the show, he grabbed me after that show, and he said, come with me. And he gave me some of that tequila.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
It is liquid crack. And you know what's funny is tequila doesn't give you hangovers.
No, it doesn't. Not as much as other alcohol does. Well, cheap tequila will.
That is not cheap tequa,
It's
by
not.
the way. That stuff's like $80 a bottle.
So it's really funny. So if you don't know who this comedian is, right? If you don't know who Raimundo is, you need to look him up because his hair was not just straightened. This dude has an uber mullet, man.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful hair.
It is. Yeah.
He had her all straightened. It was all slicked up. Ron brought out the bottle here.
Oh, yeah.
Full bottle.
Okay, so here's the thing. I probably should not pick.
Excuse me. I got to go.
Yeah. Matt's like, no, Patrick, you're producing your own outro.
See you later.
So, here's the deal. You don't make jokes about a comedian because you typically end up getting the shorter end of the stick with that one.
You lose.
Yeah.
They're better.
I apologize, sir, for anything I may have said that was offensive. Continue to send your wonderful tequila. We will continue drinking and promoting on the air for nothing more than the mere cost of sending the tequila.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
My apologies and I totally and utterly retract anything I've ever said about you, sir.
I'm in.
And Ron White, you know what?
Love him.
Oh, my God, dude.
Like a brother. Said it, Ron.
Can I tell you one of the funniest things I've ever seen? Two things I've seen that were funny on television. I can't say the other one, not on this show, but the other one was I think they were roasting Jeff Foxworthy, and Lisa Lampanelli stands up and she goes, "And Ron White, what the hell are you laughing about? You've disappointed more women than Jenny Craig." And I have to tell you, as much as I love Ron White, Lisa Lampanelli, that was really funny.
You know what I heard, by the way? Speaking of these dietary foods. Mm-hmm. Somebody told me that Weight Watchers changed their whole number system.
They did. I need to look that up because it's changed completely again. Again.
Are we at the point in society where even losing weight has become halfway political with numbers? Because you can't lose on that number. You know what I mean? Weight Watchers is like a whole point system on food. It's been around for, how long has Weight Watchers been around?
Man, it's probably been around for nearly 50 years.
I was going to say, it's been a long time.
I have to tell you, when I first moved to Texas, so I was working out. I was going to Gold's Gym in California. I was the chef at Universal Studios. When I moved out here, I started going to 24 Hour Fitness, and I had to change my whole schedule. I changed my eating regimen, but I'll tell you what, the old Weight Watcher system, this is back in 2001, 2002, was the easiest way for me to track what I was eating. By far the easiest. It was super simple. You just had foods in certain categories. They equaled this many points for this much of that food. It was super simple. I never tried it again, but I stayed. I actually got down to the weight I was looking for, which was like 182. I haven't seen that number in a long time, but it worked well. Oh, I don't know. But anyway, we're going to talk about how do you get rid of that beautiful waistline you've developed using Weight Watchers. You have some Jameson Whiskey Bacon Maple Syrup pancakes. Man.
Gross.
Dude, I'm going to post this recipe. Here's the deal. The bacon in the syrup and the Irish whiskey, that's the sauce. Mac doesn't do sweet stuff. Well, what if you did it without we could find a way to thicken the Irish whiskey with the bacon in it without the maple syrup.
If you put the Irish whiskey on the pancakes, I'm in. Because the pancakes will soak up the whiskey. But the syrup, every now and again, I have to admit, Chef Patrick, every now and again, I will have a pancake with syrup. It's about twice a year. I just get a little tickle, and then I'm done.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I don't like it.
Well, I mean, it's thick and it's cloying, and that it's weird though because you grew up north. Most of us Northerners really like sweets. We do. Now, here's a question: how about your family? Your father, your mother?
My dad didn't like sweets. My mom did.
So, your father is the number one influence on what you grow up, what you would like to eat.
My
for
dad,
all children.
And you're right, because my dad is like me. He likes spicy food, chili.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, 3 of them.
They pretty similar in their diet?
No. No, I was the oldest, though.
Okay.
I was like the front runner.
Gotcha.
But I think I've got 2 younger sisters and a brother, and I'm sure they all eat sweets, and I'm sure they all aren't like me.
Interesting.
I'm one of a kind.
But anyway, the father is the number one influence at the table on what children do or don't eat, and how broad their palate is.
Now, I can tell you, my father is why I hate onions.
Really?
My mom cooked with onions all the time. Nasty, mushy, disgusting onions. I hate onions. It makes me want to barf every time. Now, I'll cook with onion salt.
Onion powder, onion salt, garlic
right,
powder,
for
yeah.
the taste. I just don't like the texture of nasty, mushy onions.
Interesting.
Just saying.
Huh. Oh, well. All right, well, no time for the recipe today. We'll put it up there and we might talk about it. But actually, this has a great pancake batter that's made from scratch. Man, I'm telling you, this looks so delicious. All you need to do is look at this picture. If you don't fall in love, there's something wrong with you, even you, Matlock. All right. Hey, we're going to break here. We got a 2-minute break coming up. On the other side, more ridiculous food news, more rantings and ravings of me, a foodaholic. Ooh, there you go. The rantings and ravings of a foodaholic. You know what? I used to be called a food therapist for one of my old employers. I'll talk about that in a minute, too. All right. Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. I got to open the phone lines one day this week. I'm a little frightened to, but I'm going to. Maybe Thursday. Thursday we'll open the phone lines. All right, come on back. See you in 2 minutes. Hear me in 2 minutes. Whatever it is, I'll be right here.
Have you done it?
Take the pain out of ordering your diabetic testing supplies with Diathrive. Diathrive ships the testing supplies you need directly to you when you need them. Best of all, with plans starting as low as $8 a month, Diathrive is probably going to cost you less than what you're paying today. Diathrive is so convinced that you'll love their service, they're offering your first month of supplies free. Simply type the code DOC, D-O-C, at checkout. Diathrive.com. That's DIA Thrive.com.
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go. And pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-452-1075. 800-452-1075. That's 800-452-1075.
Have you done it? You catch a glimpse of yourself in the mirror?
I'm one of those people you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, most of us. But I mean, you look and you're going, what the?
I know.
How did I get to whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, it's horrible. Hey there, it's Doc Thompson and Brad Staggs to tell you about a different way to shed those pounds. This is brand new tech. It's only been around for a couple of years or so. It was based on research from the University of California that said there's a molecule called OEA that's found naturally in your body. It produces it in the Mediterranean diet, that when taken in concentrated amounts, it will actually make you feel fuller and boost your metabolism.
I've lost about 10 pounds so far.
It's amazing.
It
now,
really is cool.
A company said, we can take this to market and make this great product that'll help you. It's called RiduZone, R-I-D-U zone.com, R-I-D-U zone.com. It's Brad's worked. It's worked for Brad's, worked for me, countless other people. Go to RiduZone.com and try today. You're going to love it. RiduZone.com. Remember that, R-I-D-U zone.com.
There I go, breaking stuff again. Good thing Mr. Brad Staggs is not around watching me knock the set to pieces. Actually, I just need some double-sided Velcro tape. I think we got some in the drawer over there. Oh, I did fix the table. This thing doesn't... Look at that. Woo!
That is so sturdy, you could sit on it.
Dude, I'm telling you what, it was really bad before. All I had to do is twist it a little more and then just realign it. It was like less than a half turn. Fixed it.
Fixed
it. Yep. So, you know what? I had a phone call a little while ago. I don't know why. Why is it that people, look, I'm on the air at the same damn time every day. Jeff Wetzel, you can't answer my phone call, but you got to call in the middle of the show. You want to call in the middle of the show? Call in. You got the number, or if you don't have the number, I'll send it to you. Anyway. Ooh. And that is why I don't drink too much coffee. Ooh. All right. So Jameson whiskey bacon maple syrup pancakes. Here's the cool thing. Really, it's just the bacon maple Jameson Irish whiskey syrup is really what I'm interested in. However, so it's super simple. Diced bacon, cook until crispy. Mix the ingredients together in a saucepan and cook on low heat, which would be the 8 ounces of sliced bacon, 1.5 cups of maple syrup, and 1 shot of Jameson Irish whiskey. I think you go with 1.5 cups of maple syrup and 2 shots of Irish whiskey. That sounds better. But basically, you cook the bacon until it's crispy. You mix the rest in a saucepan, cook over low heat. Now, what that means is take the bacon out of the grease and mix in a saucepan. Comprende? Capiche? Verstehen Sie? Wakaru no? Wakarimashita ka? All right. Enough. That's enough of the other languages. That's all. I'm about out of them. So anyway, then you once it comes to a simmer, take it off the heat and cover it with foil. Just let it rest. Now, the bacon should stay crispy if you cooked it crispy enough. Now, the this pancake batter is actually this is a really good old school style pancake batter. So it's 1.5 cups of flour. There's a tablespoon of sugar, half teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon baking soda, and 2 teaspoons baking powder, 2 eggs, 1/2 cup milk, and 1.5 cups milk, and 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, plus more for cooking. So basically, you mix the flour, the sugar, the salt, the baking soda, baking powder. You mix that together in a bowl with a whisk. Then you make a well in the middle. You add your eggs. You fold those in. You add your milk. You whisk that in. Now, here's the deal. You don't want to overmix this batter. It's okay if it's a little lumpy. A little lumpy, right? The reason being that if you mix it too much, then the gluten in the flour starts to develop and you don't have those light, fluffy pancakes that you're looking for. Then you drizzle in your 3 tablespoons of unsalted melted butter and you're ready to go. I would actually let that rest maybe in the refrigerator for at least 5 to 10 minutes, if not a little bit longer. If you wait too long, it may thicken up. You may have to add a little bit of water or a little more milk to it. And basically, you cook your pancakes. You put the Irish whiskey bacon, syrup over the top. Good to go. I don't think you can go wrong with that. Jameson whiskey bacon maple syrup pancakes. You can't go wrong. I'm going to post this right now on Spoony. Okay, whatever. I don't care about security. Well, I probably should care about the security certificate. But what else? You know what? What else is on the? All right, so I'm looking here at I am on the irishpost.com, and I'm looking. There's nothing about food in here, except that one. There's home, news, entertainment, sport, video, life and style, business, and more, which is contact, vacancies, media pack, viral, Irish Post Awards. No more food? How can you not have more food? Huh. Come on. Everybody, there's more food than just this in Ireland. How can you have more recipes? No more recipes? That's it? All right, Irish Post. I'm definitely disappointed. Look at her life and style. Life and style. No. Ewan McGregor, blah, da, 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 da. No. Still no more food. Oh, no, that's an advertisement. How to make an Irish Wicklow pancakes, but I don't want more pancakes. How about something besides pancakes? I remember a couple of years ago, I was in Saratoga Springs, which is where my brother-in-law just called from. Oh, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. And they have this great little shop in town that's full of Irish knickknacks and bric-a-brac. And I remember I bought this T-shirt that my son would never wear. And it said, it's got this guy he's got his fists up ready to fight on the front. It says, what to say? It's, come out, you coward. And on the back it says, and fight the 6 of us. Come out, you coward, and fight the 6 of us. I guess that's one way to look at it. Oh, Jameson mint chocolate chip cookies. Ooh. Huh. That sounds really good. I got to look that one up. All right. Jameson mint chocolate chip cookies. Here you go. A little sweet for your sweets on St. Patty's Day. Ooh. All right. So what you'll need, I'll post this one as well. Something about Jameson lately. They must be one of the big sponsors. They certainly are a big sponsor of this show, at least in Liquid Courage. They may not be spending any money, but that's all right. We'll promote as long as we get free liquor. What you'll need, 3 cups of flour, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 2 teaspoons of cornstarch, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1/2 a teaspoon salt. You can tell an Irishman wrote this. 1/2 a teaspoon, just half teaspoon salt, not 1/2 a teaspoon salt. 1 cup brown sugar, 1 cup of regular sugar, 3 tablespoons of Jameson's whiskey. I think you go with 4. 2 eggs, 2 tablespoons of vanilla extract, 1/4 teaspoon of mint extract, 1.5 sticks of butter, 3/4 cup of chocolate chips, 3/4 cup of white chocolate chips. Oh, wow. That sounds pretty delicioso. Whisk all the dries together in a bowl. Add the butter to a small pan and melt on low heat. Add the Irish whiskey, stir and let cool. Add the 2 types of sugar to the bowl, to a large bowl, and then pour the cooled butter and whiskey. Okay, that makes sense. Okay. Then you beat the mixture with a hand mixer for about a minute. Add in the eggs. So you're basically creaming the melted butter sugar mixture. So then you add the eggs one at a time and mix well. Add in the vanilla and mint extracts. And then with the mixer on low, you slowly add in the mixed dry ingredients. Again, you don't want to overwork the gluten until it's all just mixed together. And then you, with a spoon, fold in the chocolate chips. Refrigerate the dough for an hour. And then preheat the oven to 350. Spray your baking sheet. Bake for 10 minutes. Let cool. That sounds really delicious. Wow, those look good. All right, I'll post that one as well. What other crazy food news is there? 20 noodle soup recipes. 20 noodle soup recipes. I gotta look that up. All right. Oh yeah. Oh, rich and creamy tonkatsu ramen. All right. Broth is the key to any soup, like the broth, the soup itself. The fixins, the additives, in Japanese they say the gu, the stuff you put into soup or curry or whatever that liquid dish is. Not whiskey. You don't want chunks in your whiskey. But the broth is really what makes it. And when it comes to ramen, there's several, obviously several broths. You have miso broth, which is probably the most famous. You can have anything from duck broth to beef broth to chicken broth, pork broth. But my favorite is actually miso. So we're going to go through this recipe here and see if this is actually, this is a, so this one is a mixture of, let's see, pork, chicken, and, oh man, pork fat back as well. Wow. So here are the ingredients. 3 pounds of pig trotters, split lengthwise or cut crosswise into 1-inch discs. Ask your butcher to do this for you. Yeah, you don't want to try and cut those in-house. 2 pounds of chicken backs and carcasses, skin and excess fat removed. Yes, you don't want the fat in there. You don't want that extra fat. You have to clean it out, and that's just a pain in the ass. 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil, 1 large onion, skin on, roughly chopped. You know what? If you're making a soup and you're going to strain all that stuff out anyway, that's one thing you can do with onions and carrots and all that. As long as they're especially carrots and root vegetables, as long as they're washed clean, you can put them in, just rough chop them. You don't have to peel them. 12 garlic cloves. Oh yeah. 1 3-inch knob of ginger, roughly chopped. 2 whole leeks, washed and roughly chopped. I love leek. Such a mild flavor. 2 dozen scallions. Okay, so scallions are green onions, so that'd be like 2 bunches of scallions. White parts only. Reserve the greens for garnish later. 6 ounces of whole mushrooms or mushroom scraps. 1 pound slab pork fatback. Wow, this is going to be rich. So you place the pork and chicken bones in a large stock pot and cover with cold water. Now, if you wanted to make this a bit richer, you can actually roast these bones in the oven. So put them in a roasting pan, toss them with a little bit of oil, and you can throw some vegetables in there, some, maybe not celery, but you can put the onion in there definitely to roast, and some whole garlic cloves, and just roast that at like 350, 450 until you get that nice caramelized color on there. You know, keep stirring it around until it's nice and that rich golden brown color. That would be a way to take this to the next level, in my opinion. So you place it on a burn over high heat, bring to a boil, remove from heat as soon as a boil is reached. All right. Now, in the meantime, while the pot is heating, which I don't know why they say that, because they say bring it to a boil, then remove from heat. But while it is heating, heat vegetables in a medium cast iron or nonstick skillet over high heat until lightly smoking. Add onions, garlic, and ginger. Cook, tossing occasionally until deeply charred on both sides. See, I think you could just do this by roasting the bones at the same time. Once pot has come to a boil, dump water down the drain. Carefully wash all bones under cold running water. Remove any bits of marrow. Bones should be uniform gray-white after you've scrubbed them. Use a chopstick to remove small bits of dark marrow from inside the trotters or near the chicken spines. Okay. So if you want a very clear broth, this is key. Part of the reason that they're boiling these first and then cleaning them off is to make sure you get a very clear broth. Important. Now, it's going to have a much cleaner taste. What they're talking about, these proteins that you find that come from the inside of the bone, the marrow, or those little bits and pieces of flesh stuck to the chicken bones or the trotters, they're gonna make the broth cloudy, right? So that's what they're doing. So you clean everything off, and then you return them to a pot along with the charred vegetables, the leeks, scallion, whites, mushrooms, and the pork fatback, and then you top it off with cold water again. Bring it to a rolling boil over high heat, skimming off any scum that appears. They should stop appearing within the first 20 minutes or so. Okay, and that's the thing. That stuff that forms on the top, the little like grayish bits that make a foam around the outside, that's the stuff you don't want to keep in there because that's what makes your stock cloudy. Now, use a clean sponge or moist paper towels to wipe in black or gray. Okay, so to wipe the stuff off the surface. Actually, you don't need to do that. You can actually just, if you know how to use a ladle properly, use the back. You swirl everything from the middle to the outside of the pan, and then you use the back side of the ladle against the rim of the pan to trap any grease or any of that residue on the top, and then you reduce the heat to bare minimum and place a heavy lid on top. Once the lid is on, check the pot after 15 minutes. It should be a slow rolling boil. Now, this is a little different than making a French stock because you really don't want it to boil. You want it to just simmer, barely simmer, because boiling, again, brings out all those impurities, and that's what makes your stock cloudy. And if you want to go one more step in French cooking, if you want to make a consommé or like a real clear broth, then you actually make what's called a raft. It's egg whites and other components that you mix. You blend those up, and then you mix that into the cold liquid, like a cold stock, and then you slowly bring that to a simmer. What that does is all of that protein in the egg whites coagulates, and it rises to the surface. And as it's doing that, it takes all those impurities out of the broth, so that all that's left over is this clear consommé or this really refined soup, this clear broth. This is a little different. So once the lid is on, make sure the pot is, after 15 minutes, it should be a slow rolling boil. If not, increase or decrease the heat. Boil broth until pork fatback is completely tender, about 4 hours, and carefully remove the pork fat with a slotted spatula. Transfer fatback to a sealed container and refrigerate it until step 7. Interesting. Return lid to pot and continue cooking until the broth is opaque with the texture of light cream, about 6 to 8 hours longer. 14 hours so far into this, plus whatever prep time you had. This is a nice long broth. If you must leave the pot unattended for an extended period of time, of course, top up the pot with water and reduce the heat to the lowest setting while you're gone. Now, when we make stock overnight in a restaurant, we actually take the largest stock pot that we have. You put your bones, the mirepoix, which are the vegetables, that's onion, celery, carrot. You put that in there. What other seasonings? Your sachet de piece or your little satchel of bay leaf and other things. You tie them up in actually cheesecloth. You tie them up in that so that they don't float around and get loose in there. They're easy to pull out later. And then you tie that with a string to the handle of the pot. So what we do is we put the bones in, all the mirepoix, etc., and then we put a bunch of ice in it. I mean, a bunch of ice. Not quite to the top, but a lot of ice. And then you fill it the rest of the way with cold water. And you start on a very, very, very low heat. And you let that go, and you let it go, and you let it go all night. So we may start that at, say, when service starts in a restaurant or at the end of the night. But typically, if it's at start of service, then at the end of the night, you top it back off with more water. And then you get the heat as low as it can go, and you leave it overnight. And then what that does is that cold water extracts flavor, hot water infuses flavor, right? cold water extracts. Now with tea, I know hot water extracts flavor from tea. But when it comes to stock, that's the way it's done. Classic French. So anyway, this is a little different. They're not starting with super ice cold liquid and doing this they're doing a long, slow reduction. But I'm surprised that it's at such a high. I mean, I've made lots of broth for pho and for ramen. This is another level. All right, so return it to a boil when you come back and continue cooking. Top off with more water as necessary. Once the broth is ready, cook over high heat until reduced to around about 3 quarts. All right, so what was the size that we started with? It doesn't say what size. It says just a big pot of water. But you reduce that down to 3 quarts of liquid. Interesting. I need to figure out what these ratios are because it doesn't say how much you start with. So blanching the pork bones and rinsing them thoroughly of coagulated blood and other impurities ensures the final tonkatsu broth is a pale rather than a deep dark brown. Charring the aromatic vegetables adds complexity to the broth. Keeping the broth at a low rolling boil ensures that the released fat and particulate matter emulsifies in the broth, which makes the broth opaque and creamy. Wow. This looks so creamy and kind of that light golden brown that it looks like miso broth. It's so delicious looking. Anyway, once you've reduced down to 3 quarts, then you discard any solids. You strain it through a fine mesh strainer. For an even cleaner soup, you can strain again through a chinois. That's got a fine mesh strainer with some metal guards. They're like kind of like 2 or 3 big the tines of a whisk, right? How they loop around, but those just protect that fine mesh to make sure that you don't damage that strainer. So you strain it through a chinois or a fine mesh strainer lined with several layers of cheesecloth. Skim the liquid fat from the top with a ladle and discard. Finally, chop cooked pork fat back and whisk into the finished broth. Wow. Dang. To serve, season broth with condiments of your choice. Salt, soy sauce, miso, sesame paste. Oh, yeah, see, miso. That's where that came from. So this actually has miso in it. I knew it. And I haven't been drinking. Usually I drink and I know stuff. Today I looked at it and I knew stuff. And then, yeah, you put in whatever you want. Slices of pork, rolled pork belly. You could put in soft-boiled eggs are a big thing to put in ramen nowadays. So like a soft-boiled egg, you can actually smoke them. Tea-smoked egg. Oh, man. Tea-smoked duck egg. Cut in half of that in there. A bunch of green onion. It doesn't take much more than that. Maybe some enoki mushrooms. Those little tiny, thin Japanese mushrooms. Delicious. Sounds really good. I got to try it. All right. I need a real kitchen here, folks. I need a real kitchen. I cannot wait to build the Spoony Kitchen Studio downstairs here at the Haltom City Country Network studios here. If you've never been here, you should really check it out. There's the beautiful Mojo River right by, a beautiful view of downtown Fort Worth. Okay, the Mojo River might be not a lie. It's a stretch. I can't tell you what it really is, but we'll call it the Mojo River. Spicy Cuban shrimp soup with noodles. Ooh. The ultimate chicken noodle soup. Chicken noodle soup is one of the simplest dishes to eat, but I think it can be a very difficult dish to prepare properly. The broth is the key, of course. The broth and the noodles. I love like the wider, freshly made, not egg noodles, but just a really nice, soft, wider noodle, almost like a like tagliatelle or something like that. That is really good to me. And they should be really soft, almost overcooked when it's done. And this time of year when it's cool out, I mean, it was warm last few days, but it was pretty cold here in Haltom City this morning. So, having a go-to soup, I grew up eating soup almost every other day. My mother was a great cook, and she made tons of soup: split pea soup, chicken soup, vegetable soup, minestrone, beef and barley. What else? Chili. What other soups did we have? We had a lot of soups. It was all really good. But I mean, that's the sign of a really, really good cook. is being able to make a good chicken noodle soup, because it's not easy. It's really not. And if you can make, is it that time of year? Should be time for like did I miss I don't think I did yet. If you've never had a, let's see, if you've never had a Seder dinner. Thursday, April. Okay, starts on Wednesday, April 8th, ends on April 16th. So Passover. If you've never had a Seder dinner, matzo ball soup is one of my favorite meals. So matzah is a matzo balls are a dumpling made from unleavened bread, matzah. We won't go into whole intricacies of what that means to the holy high holy. It's one of the high holy holidays, Passover. But matzah can be very dense, right? But what they do, you make this dumpling from matzah, and then you make a really deliciously rich chicken broth, and a little schmaltz in there, a little chicken fat rendered into there. But the key to the matzo ball is that it doesn't fall apart before you touch it. I mean, and matzo balls can be small, they can be bite-sized, or they can be one big matzo ball in the middle of the soup bowl with the soup ladled around it. I prefer the larger versions. It's just what I like. One big matzo ball per serving. But I mean, when you dig into it, when you take that first bite, it should be firm but delicate. The rest of it shouldn't fall apart in the bowl. It's a balance. It's a true balance. And I absolutely love one of my all-time favorite chicken soup. If you've never had it, find a Katz's Deli near you. They're all over the country. Or if you're in Houston, look, I love me some Kenny and Ziggy's. Go to Kenny and Ziggy's in the Galleria district. Is there another Kenny's? Yeah, well, there's more Katz's. There are Katz's in the Woodlands. There's Katz's here in I think there's got to be a Katz's Deli here somewhere. Anyway, find your local Jewish deli. Get you some matzo ball soup. And tell me it's not, if not the best chicken soup you've ever had, that it's one of the best. It is really appropriate for the season. And who knows? Ask them why they eat it. Ask them what the matzah is all about. Learn something new. Why not? All right, so other noodle soups. I know that wasn't really a noodle soup. You don't have to correct me. But other noodle soups. Taiwanese beef noodle soup. Oh, I love me some pho. P-H-O, pho, if you want to say it in American. Pho is a really refined broth. It's got this richness and this scent, this aroma, this personality that's hard to describe. It smells sweet and rich and festive all at the same time. So you start with a basic beef broth, but you add in things like garlic and star anise and trying to think what other flavor. Oh, garlic. You can put. There can be some ginger in there. That's not really a gingery type soup, but and a tiny bit of the tiniest bit of fish sauce to finish. It's this amazingly aromatic soup that I don't think really compares to almost any other soup broth that I've had. Now, oxtail soup is a very similar broth, but it's a little more savory. It's rich and an amazingly rich dish. Man. Chef Janelle Witt, when she was at Corner Table in Houston, Texas, she won the 2014-2015 Hell's Kitchen show. And I was there doing some consulting. She was the new chef, and she made this oxtail soup that was unbelievable. I mean, it was to die for. I need to look. Actually, I have the recipe. I would never post it without her blessing, but I will look it up, and I will make a variation of that. So maybe it's a little easier to make the broth, but pho. That the aroma of pho is it's almost got this, like I said, it's got the star anise, and it doesn't have cinnamon, but it could smell like cinnamon. It's just this unbelievable, punch in the nose of flavor before you even take a taste. But then when you get the pho on the table and they bring it out, they have these, all right, I don't need the computer anymore. They have these wonderful accompaniments, right? They bring out bean sprouts and these kind of dandelion leaves that you can find in Vietnamese food stores. And there's sliced jalapenos and lime juice, cut limes, and then fish sauce, chili garlic paste, and what else? Oh, and then you have oyster sauce, right? So once you get the pho at the table, then you start breaking off the leaves. So you tear up the dandelion leaves, you throw in the bean sprouts. Oh, and they have Thai basil. So you throw in the whole Thai basil leaves, break them off the stems, throw in a couple jalapeno slices, squeeze a bunch of lime in it, then you taste it. And you say, well, what is this missing? Do I need more? It's not a spicy soup of and in its own. It's not spicy at all. So the first thing I do, that's what I do. I add my heat. So how much heat do I want? Well, I'm a fan of sriracha, but for this particular dish, I just put a little sriracha in there. And then I take the Chinese chili garlic paste that most Chinese restaurants have and a lot of Vietnamese restaurants have. It's not the garlic chili paste with the whole seeds in it. This is just chili oil and garlic, and it's unbelievable. Very rich and like if you could put the little pieces of garlic in your mouth, they kind of they're caramelized and make your teeth stick together. It's like, oh, it's so like it's good. Hey, look, Matt's making a funny face. Matt, when you cook like a steak or roasted potatoes, and you have the garlic pieces that stick to the pan, and you bite on those, you chew them up, and they're like it's like garlic crack. They kind of you don't like garlic?
I don't dislike garlic, but I don't like the mushiness of garlic that you're taught. The cloves and
no, but these are the little tiny bits and pieces that stick to the pan that are kind of crispy.
I could try that.
Yeah. Anyway, so you put that in there, and then you add a little bit of the. I'm not a big fan of a lot of the oyster sauce in there because it's kind of sweet. But a little bit of that, a touch of fish sauce. Taste it one more time, and then knock it out of the park with a bunch more sriracha. I'm telling you, if you haven't had pho before, it's awesome. There's a great place in Denver. I think pho. I don't know if it's there anymore, but Pho 69 was a great place to go. Man, I need that and some dim sum. We got a Chinese place around here that serves little bites, little dim sum places. Matt's shaking his head. No, I got to find me one. All right. That's the quest, folks. Tell me where the best dim sum place in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is. You might win something from Spoony, something really cool. Spoony apron, Spoony hat. Hey, go to the website. Check it out. We got Spoony swag. Buy it. Wear it. Love it. Thanks for listening today. Chef Patrick Mosher, Chef Patrick Mosher, the Food Biz Pro. I can't even pronounce my name right. I need a drink. Have a great day. Ciao for now. Listen in tomorrow.
This is the only 24-hour take-anywhere platform dedicated to food and fun. We're Spoony.
News this hour from Town.